Hello and welcome to Experts Unplugged, leadership speaker spotlights from the Tri-State Camp Conference, where I, as a fellow speaker at the conference, I'm going to highlight some of our amazing speakers from the upcoming Tri-State Conference through the American Camp Association's New York and New Jersey chapters. This is taking place March 12th to 14th at the Atlantic City Convention Center in New Jersey. And our chat here today really focuses on leadership and how our expertise impacts others to think like leaders. Most of you know I'm Joanne Newborn. I'm the CEO of Newborn Evolution, where we help smart leaders build teams that think strategically, they problem solve effectively, and they really take true ownership of their outcomes. So today I am talking to Max Grossman about his talk, Three Key Elements to Building Effective High-Functioning Teams. And Max has lived and breathed camp since the age of 7 when he first attended day camp in New Jersey. And since then, he spent every summer at camp, intent on one day being a camp director. And I'm smiling so much because he did tell me the story before this, and it's so amazing. So after he graduated from Towson University with a degree in psychology and a focus on child development, he joined the full-time team at a day camp on Long Island as the operations and special events director. And then from there, Max spent 5 years at camp. You're going to have to say that for me. I don't want to say it wrong.
Sure. Camp Watito in the Berkshires.
Awesome. It's a co-ed sleepaway camp in the Berkshires alongside his wife, Nikki. And Max is currently the co-director at Point Opine Camp for Girls alongside his wife, Nikki. It's an all-girls camp in the Adirondacks, and Max is an active member of the American Camp Association, New York and New Jersey. He is an ACA Standards visitor and is a past member of Emerging Professionals in Camping, which is EPIC committee. Max is also an active member of SCOPE, which is the Summer Camp Opportunities Promote Education. So thank you for sharing time with me today, Max.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I would love to know why it's important to have an effective and high-functioning team.
Yeah, I think for a couple of reasons. The biggest one is camp is not a one-person operation. One of the first things I ever learned in camping was that when you're running a camp, camp is basically like a city. We have our own food service, we have our own sewer system, our own mail system, time zone, everything you can think of that operates in a city operates at camp. We're in what we always like to call in the industry a camp bubble. And for all of those pieces to work, you need to have a team behind you that you trust and that you know is really just going to get it done when they need to get it done, right? When the kids are walking into the dining room and it's time for breakfast, whether we like it or not, it's time for breakfast. When the activities are operating, whether we like it or not, the kids are going to those activities and they need to be operating. So I think the biggest piece, and not to give away too much of my session that I'm actually running with a great friend of mine, Dave Malter, or as many people in the industry know him as Professor Dave. Um, One of the biggest things is that it's not a one man or a one person operation. It's really a team effort.
Amazing. Yeah, I had not heard that before about camp being its own city, but when you were talking about it, thought, oh, that makes so much sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am speaking on a similar but different topic in terms of teams. So it is definitely a topic that I am very passionate about. And you really can't do anything alone, especially in the scope that you're doing things as having a camp. It would be absolutely impossible. It wouldn't be fair to you, it wouldn't be fair to the people that are coming. So we are so dependent on having really highly functional teams.
Yeah.
So,
And I think
oh,
one of
yeah,
the
go ahead.
best parts about camp is where staff and campers learn to develop. It's a place where they get to learn to develop, their relationships and how to work with other people. And by seeing myself as a director and our staff, our leadership team, counselors, whoever it might be, doing the same thing, kids are going to learn by seeing and then learn by doing, which is really special.
Yeah, which directly relates to I had said to Max before the interview that, the more of these interviews I do, I really believe that everyone should go to camp before they enter the corporate world. And I'm saying that with all seriousness. And what you just said is so important, that that sense of leading by example and really understanding how important your actions are, because people are always watching, people are picking up on it. And that's where they learn a lot of times, how do I do this or that, or how do I act in this situation? So it is such an important piece.
Absolutely. And I think it's also a place where you come up with a lot of ideas, and some of them are great, some of them are good, and some of them don't belong out in the world. But having that team behind you to bounce them off of or to help them grow and develop is really kind of the main reason why having a high functioning team is important as well.
Yeah. So what are some ways to build an effective high functioning team?
Yeah, so I think part of it is finding people that you enjoy working with. I think there are a lot of qualifications to work in camping and a lot of qualifications similar to the business world, right? When you want to work in finance, you need certain qualifications for that. Or if you want to become a teacher, you need certain qualifications for that. I think there are many for camping, but one of the biggest, in my opinion, is enjoying who you're working with. And I would assume that that goes across the board in many industries. The more fun, and I always tell this to our staff at orientation, the more fun you're having, the more fun your job is going to be. And if you're enjoying who you're working with, you're already having a great time. So I would think that is kind of step one, is really kind of find people and enjoy who you're with. And then step two is really don't be afraid to put your ideas out there, and it might develop into something somewhat different than what you thought,
Hmm.
but that's okay because that's why your team is there, is really to take that idea and to make it grow. And you don't always need to be the one to create the idea, build the idea, and then execute it. But if you have that team behind you, you can really create it and then let them take it, build it, and execute it.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And that feeds into that you don't also have to be all things to all people. Like that's why we depend on our teams. I remember when I was a director, I had the ability to be able to come up with the ideas and then sit down with my team and then say, well, what do you think? Do you think this is something that actually has legs? And then they would say to me, I don't know, like, let us walk away with it, let us, because they got to dip into their strengths and then come back and say, we've thought about it and this is how we think we can do it, or maybe this isn't going to work so well, just like you said. So it really helps people feel valued on the team as well when you're able to give them that space to put in their input too, where people feel like, sometimes people feel like they have to have all the answers all the time, and you don't. You need a great incredible supportive team behind you.
Absolutely. And I think going off of that, part of having that team is also knowing people's strengths and weaknesses. I know for myself, I'm lucky enough I get to work with my wife every single day. You mentioned earlier about Camp Watito. I unfortunately did not get to work with her there, but I do now get to be a director alongside of her at Point of Pines. Um, Her brain is great for creating schedules and the program. Mine is not. I don't, Excel is not my friend. But I'm helpful in the sense of talking about the program, working out some of the pieces and the logistics. And then when it comes to putting that on paper and really creating that, it is not my strong suit. And I know that. But she gets to work alongside our program coordinator in the summer to really execute all of that, which for me is very lucky because I would not want to be doing that at all.
Amazing. I love it. And I think, oh, how lucky you are that you get to work with your wife every day. That's so wonderful. So,
Most of the time. I don't know if she would agree with that every day, but most of the time we love it.
that's great. So that's our little unplugged nugget of Max's talk. He is going to be speaking on March 12th at 2 p.m. So be sure to catch him and the partner that he's speaking with. And I'm going to be speaking on Wednesday, March 13th at 8:30 a.m. And my talk is creating rock stars, designing collaborative high performance teams. So like I said, it's similar but different. So
Totally.
let's have your breakfast or coffee together. Bring it with you because really leading a high performance team, as we've discussed, it's really, you need a team that you can consistently rely upon. And it's a must have in today's landscape that's changing and being able to serve others. So that is something that you're going to have to build if you want to have a successful summer. So thank you so much, Max. And I really look forward to
Thank you.
seeing you in March.
You too. Thank you so much for your time.